Welcome back to another episode of Two Voices.
One mission.
I'm Naomi Brickle.
I'm Brendan Klein.
And today we're here to talk to you about employment. In our last episode, we talked about Brendan's successful employment journey and the successful supports he had. We're happy to have back with us Min and CJ to talk a little bit in this episode more about just like the nuts and bolts. How people, what I'm hoping is our last episode really inspired people to be like, okay, maybe employment is right for me and maybe I can do this. And today what we wanted to do is really give some of the logistics on how, like what would be the first steps. So Min, I know that you primarily work with people through self-directed services where people have budgets. They are aligned or connected with a fiscal intermediary agency that then pays for the supports directly. But the people actually hire people they know, and then those people become employees of record of the fiscal intermediary. Can you tell me a little bit about, I'm not very familiar with how SEMP works in self-direction, so can you tell me about just that system and how you've gotten, you told us how you've gotten connected to, but how it works?
So I think, as a job coach, positions, and a ComHab, we got hired the same way. So this is like a little step ahead. So first parent need to talk to their care manager that I want to have a budget for STEM or support employment. And they set up a budget aside for that. And then they're looking for a job coach. So that's how I came in. I came in as a job coach. I went and applied for it. You have to go through all the paperwork, fingerprints, all that. Same thing as the same way you hire a ComHab.
Yes.
The only different paperwork as a job coach and a ComHab is that ComHab have to write summary report at the end of every month. Job coach doesn't have to do that. We show up. We support the individual of whatever employment need or anything the wrote on paper say. For example, Brendan, I'm just going to use the one that we used back in the year. So they will give me a list of like, Brendan need support in responding email. Brendan needs support in managing his time. Brendan needs support. So those are the things I'm coming in to support him with. I don't do the job for Brendan. I'm supporting Brendan getting the job done.
Very good distinction too.
Yeah,
very
it
good
is, and
point.
it's
Right. Sometimes employers will come to me, like this was years ago, it's like, oh, you're a job coach? I got a 2-for-1 deal. Okay. I'm like, no, not really. We're here, we're coaches. You know what I mean? Like if you live related to sports, right? A coach don't play on the field. The coach is directing the person so they can do it themselves. And so yes, that's a really good distinction too.
And
like,
then another thing, I don't make
independence.
decision for Brendan.
Yeah.
He make his own decision. He make his own choice on his work.
That's right.
All right, so
That's right.
like
go ahead, finish.
Go ahead.
No, I
I'm sorry.
wanted to just make it clear then. So for the family or the individual, you started by saying they really have to bring it up at their life plan meeting. Let their care manager know that they want to add supported employment to it and to their budget or to their program. And for you as a SEMP person, it was really just a matter of being identified by the family or somehow getting connected with Brendan and then signing
Yes.
up with that agency. And there really isn't a whole lot different between providing community habilitation supports where you're really working on specific goals of mostly, I guess, connected with independence in the community, or supported employment, which is really helping a person, facilitating a person to be successful in their job.
Yes, and on top of that, a ComHab doesn't take training every year. A job coach does.
Okay.
In order for us to qualify to continue being a job coach, we have to take 6 hours of training every year.
Okay. No wonder you're so
That's
good.
correct. Yeah. And that training too. So it's right. So it's 2 classes because it's like a credit system. The main company, especially for the self-hired, that makes it pretty simple, is Eleversity. So this is an institution that does the training, and what you would do is you would take 2 classes, get your 6 credits, unless they change. I think that's still the standard. And at that point, you get like a nice little email certificate that keeps your status active. And so yeah, that's a good point that Min brought up too. Like community rehabilitation, you do have like your annuals too. But I know there's a tad bit because Eleversity is very sophisticated. It's a great training company. So there's like that 3-hour class that they do that's very interactive, and it's there's a group of people together talking about employment. That right now, as we're talking, and I'm aware, isn't the same as ComApp. It's a little bit different. So the training is different.
All right, CJ, I want to ask you a specific question now. So Min
Sure.
spoke both about the family experience and the staff person, her experience. Can you tell us just quickly about Access, because you also work with Access VR and OPWDD, right? Yes.
That's correct.
So could you tell us a little bit about Access VR and both for the person
Sure.
and for you? Well, I think you've done a little bit of that, but
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, I love the in the weeds kind of talk. So Access VR, it's the state agency for New York State that does only employment. So they are the go-to agency for everything employment. In contrast, you have OPWD, which they do employment, but OPWD is more about the entire span of an individual. So they do things like housing and life skills and all that and employment. But Access VR is all related to employment. So that's why they tend to be more sophisticated with different types like internships, work-based learning. You can get tryouts and all this stuff that OPWD, that's not really their realm. But Access VR, so they're a New York State agency. They're kind of an extension of the New York State education system. So they're not the same. So that's another thing. So Access VR is a whole different thing than OPWD, and you register differently. So you could have Access VR and not have OPWD and vice versa. They're separate agencies. Another difference between the two is Access VR helps people of all disabilities, while OPWD is very specific to developmental disabilities, right? So if you had and I'm pretty sure the cutoff age, unless they change that, I believe is 25, and you guys can check me on that. Once you're past 25, if you do have acquired disability, there's another agency that helps you, unless you have documentation that says you acquired, you have a disability before that age. So that's kind of a distinction there. But Access VR stands for Adult Career and Continuing Education Services, Vocational Rehabilitation. So nobody's ever going to say that because it's a long word. So they say Access VR. And so so before even talking about Access VR, it starts with the person, right? Does that person want to try exploring employment, right? Because at the pinnacle of Access VR's goals is that, like, their mission is they believe that everybody has a right to work and should want to work, and it makes them feel good, right? That's the overarching mission. So first you have to kind of start there. If the person's interested, then obviously they would probably talk about in their life plan, and depending on their age and some other things, right, they would have to register with Access VR. And from my understanding, I think you can register with Access VR as young as 14, which is kind of cool. I always love telling families that because I'm also a believer to start early, start learning those skills. But it's pretty simple, actually. Like Access VR has its own website, right? You can go into Google, type in Access VR, .gov, right? It's like you'll probably see New York State Education Department, whatever. And then if you go through the website, there's a way to register. It's like a form. You fill out that form, you email it, and then that starts the process of getting services, right? So basically, once you do that, you're saying, okay, you know what? I'm ready for this employment thing. I'm ready to get either some skills, or I'm ready for to start getting a job.
And CJ, to your point about starting young, I know that at least when my daughter was in high school, and Brendan, I don't know, I mean, you're old now, but I don't know if it was the case for you way back, but that was something that actually the high school did get us connected with Access VR. So I know that's common, but not definitely. It doesn't always happen, but I think it's something just to be aware of, that there may be someone in the high school who could help. But even if you're outside of high school, you can still have that access.
Correct. Yes, that's a great point, Naomi. So Access VR does love their school districts. They have great relationships with them and vice versa. Because yeah, starting early is a big deal. Early intervention, that's a big belief. And so yeah, that relationship's really good. So these are younger guys who are in high school. The term tends to be called pre-ETS. So we're gonna get into the weeds here. So pre-ETS, pre-employment transition services, right? So it's for those guys who are ages 14 to 21, right? So around that high school age where they can start learning what employment's all about, right? And that doesn't mean that they're ready for a job tomorrow. What pre-ETS is really about is training, essentially. So like, hey, let's look at social skills. Let's look at what getting a paycheck means to you, what it means to find an interest in something, right? Let's find out what you're good at, right? Some of those like kind of basic passion, really kind of cool things to get somebody motivated and interested in employment. So that's where those guys that in the school districts that they do work with Access VR, they tend to fall into that boat, which they're just kind of learning the skills, and then once they age out, right? So they're age out, they're not going to be pre-ETS anymore. Now they get to do some really cool stuff, which is they will fall in the realm of either supported employment or like job placement, right? And so that just basically means that, I got the skills, I got the training, I'm ready to go out there and get a competitive job. So competitive meaning that a person with or without a disability would go for, right? And I'm ready for that ball game, and I'm gonna get a coach, and I'm ready to do that. So that's that part.
Min, one last thing. If you were a mom, as you are, but if you were a mom and you had a young adult utilizing self-direction and you were thinking about employment, what would be your first step?
I will have a meeting with the case manager, have her put it on the life plan to have a support and employment on that life plan, get it set up ready.
All right, so you've made it really easy. You've made this super easy. You said it in the first thing and you said it now. Talk to your care manager.
The first thing is to set that budget ready, and then the moment that things get approved, you got a green light to go out there and look for support, someone that can help your child. Find a job, keep a job, or continue go. You can't really do anything if the budget is not set for it and it didn't get approved.
All right.
So start by having the conversation with your care manager.
Okay, great. And then very quickly, if you were a person who wanted to become a person who provides supported employment supports, what would be your first step?
I will reach out to agency.
Like a fiscal intermediary that does self-direction. Great.
Yes. Offer
Thank
them
you.
and send in your resume.
CJ, if you were an individual or a parent what's the first step who wanted to walk through the process of Access VR? What's their first step?
So the first step is definitely to do an application.
Okay.
So the first thing I would say, if that family is right in front of me, I say, hey, look, you're interested in employment. That's wonderful. First step, get on that Google, type in Access VR New York, right? Get on their website and register.
And maybe after
right?
that, they have to persevere a little too, because I know at times people...
There is a little bit of perseverance,
Yeah.
exactly. Right after that, this is where things get a little murky for me, because this is kind of in the, behind the curtain for Access VR and what they do and how they process things. But the next step should be more or less they officially can get a counselor. So these are really great people. These are master's degree level, very educated in career assessments and things. And you'll start the process of getting a counselor who's your career counselor. They call it a vocational counselor. And then they're going to start to want to have a conversation with you. Say, hey, look, we'll bring you to Access VR. What do you want to learn? How old are you? Have you had employment before? Because by the way, too, you can be brand new to Access VR. You can come through Access VR, leave Access VR, and come back. Right, so there's multiple different paths to get to Access VR, which is kind of interesting. And
All right,
but that's
quick
more
question then also on if you were an individual who wanted, actually maybe it's not a question, maybe if you're an individual who wants to provide employment supports through Access VR, I guess the first thing would be to go to an agency that's providing those kind of supports and apply for a job. Does that sound? Yeah. Brendan, any last thoughts?
I think we said a lot of really great information, but I think also one add.
Go ahead, Brendan. I see.
And I think CJ mentioned a lot of good points about training and about I think you also say about change or something about the word change. I think is And I think that things I know probably the old BDDD is always love watching my podcast, and I think they would be probably would be watching this really important podcast since they want to know about the feedback about training. So, what Caesar, since you said training, is the training helpful? Is the training confusing? Is the training is it too much, too many? Is it, and what needs to be changed into the DSP system?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Brendan. It's so big too. I think for the training is there, and there's a lot of great companies because I don't want it to feel that the companies aren't great because they're wonderful, they're very experienced. I think for me, like, and I'm talking about pro because I'm in the field, and I would love to see this. Is that be cool? Like, I would love for more even hands-on practice, whatever that looks
Mm-hmm.
like. Um, and to be like it should probably be its own program. It should be like its own degree. You know what I mean? Because there's so much that goes into it. Um, but yeah, I think sometimes, that just like I would love to see more, I guess I would say too, because there's it's when you really dive into this thing of
Yeah.
employment and vocational rehabilitation and you're really researching it, your mind will explode because the breadth and depth of this field is so incredible. And even me too, now that I kind of explored a lot of it, I feel like, damn, like there's so many skills that I need to still learn, even myself, you know what I mean? And 8 years into it, right? And we're always constantly learning. It would be cool, like I would like training in conflict resolution, right? That'd be kind of cool, right? How do you set up an accommodation? How do you do outreach? How do you cold call
Mm.
businesses and say, hey, look, like I'm an agency. I got a great candidate. I'd like to connect it to your business. I heard you're looking for XYZ. I know you're in XYZ industry. How do we tailor our sales pitch, right? Because it was interesting too, like in our field, I mean, if we're talking job
Yeah.
development, for example, it really helps to know what kind of game you're in. And in this kind of game, it's a lot of it's sales, and marketing yourself and selling yourself and what skills do you have. So even for me too, like if I learn some sales skills, like how do you do your 30-minute, 30-second pitch, right? And so a lot of programs do have that training, but sometimes it doesn't tend to be the standard. Sometimes if you're looking for that training, you have to go out and proactively look for it. Which to Min's point, that's exactly what you got to do sometimes. It's really proactive about things. You got to like don't let it wait for you. You got to go out there and take it. Um, but it would be cool to see a lot of those really great programs become the standard. I think too, like even some community colleges, like I don't know if it was like Dutchess Community, but one of the colleges now has like a DSP program, like a certificate,
Mm.
which is absolutely amazing because it's great to see that that field is becoming more popular and it's becoming more in the limelight. So I'm waiting to see a nice job developer certificate. That would be awesome. And if when it does, I'll be the first person to sign up or train or do something.
To this piece, I think for the individual with a disability, I think, say we're talking about a lot of parents, or we're talking about a lot about families, but I think for me, I always think about the person with a disability because I think they're the one who have the voice, have the advocate, and have the thing that have a whole long list of a Christmas list of things they want to do. And I think the person for an individual needs to be patient and understand that you're so excited, you're anxious, and you want to get all of these things. You want to start working with. If I'm using myself as an example again. I want to start working with Min and CJ and get this work going, but I think it's everything from what I have learned just from my own experiences. Everything takes time. So and
And just to drive home what you're saying too, it's really hard to be successful in a
yeah,
job if only your mom wants you to work. You really have to want it
yeah.
and want
And
to
I
work
think
to be
me as an
successful work.
example with my situation, and no, I can use myself as an example for many things, but I think for employment and for saturation, I think again I'm fully independent with my own saturation. I can do my own bills, and I can. I'm putting my dad in the spotlight again. Me and my dad, we work together on setting up bills and setting up stuff on eVivo. and then we work together and we get things done. And then I sometimes I will use AI to help me understand things. But then usually I think just when you start learning, when you start putting things together, when you start learning, for me, I love my puzzles. And when you start learning your puzzle, you will understand the system.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
really true.
not everybody will understand it, but and everybody learned differently. And for me, I learn quick, and I easily learn quick just from learning from my brothers. And then I think it's and also my sister-in-law too also learn from her. And I think it's really important to just I think for individuals just start making a list of things that you want to do, and start think about what you want to do just with your team, and then just start planning and start creating your circle and start organizing things and put things together, and then so when as soon as you have such direction ready, you'll be able to start working.
So, parents, you can be done, but they've got to be there with you
Yes.
doing it. So, Brendan, I think that's a wrap. Two voices.
Two was one mission. Two voices, one mission podcast. And thank you for everybody who's watching. And
thank you, Min.
And thank you, Min and
CJ.
CJ,
It's
and-
really been very
Yes,
informative.
thank you guys.
and I'm glad we have our amazing team. And I can't forget. It would be impossible to say thank you to Min and CJ. And I'm sure we will see each other again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.